Anybody wishing to make a comment on anything that's not on the agenda, fill out a blue slip and get it to us before the thing. And other than that, we'll go to a roll call.
Commissioner Brittingham?
Here.
Commissioner Shimpenwald?
Here.
Commissioner Keith?
Here.
Vice Chair Cundiff?
Here.
And Chair Barron.
Here. Let the record show that we have Kelly Lucia, our planning director, is here. Mike Thornton, our city engineer, is here. Yesa Benson, as our city commissioner, secretary, is here. With that, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Do we have any email comments?
I've received no email comments, and I have no other public comments.
Okay, thank you. Approval of minutes. Anybody have any corrections, changes, or approve as is? Make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Cool. All right. Straight into our business item. Okay, business item, general plan consistency, capital improvement project, Calimesa Creek Stage 3. Staff.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the Commission, and public. Thank you for being here tonight. Getting our PowerPoint up and running. Okay, so again, this item is a finding of general plan consistency for the Calimesa Creek Stage 3 project. For you, those of you who may not be familiar, there's a pretty substantial natural creek bed that runs through Calimesa along County Line Road, and so that's the segment that we're talking about this evening. You can see here outlined in red is the project location. So this project is a component of and continuation of the Calimesa Channel Stage 1 and 2 projects that were completed by Riverside County Flood Control in 2002. The project we're talking about tonight has two components. So to the right of the screen, that's over off of County Line Road and 3rd Street, you'll see there a 53 acre-foot detention basin and a variable size storm drain system to the left of the screen. And this is right behind City Hall and goes all the way until approximately, is that Baker's? Down at the end of County Line Road. So that's where we're talking about in terms of project location. The existing conditions, this is a natural drainage that flows from east to west at about a 3.5% slope due to elevation difference. In the bottom of the channel is about 75 feet from high point to low point across the study area. The depth of the creek varies from 15 to 20 feet below adjacent grades, and the width of the bottom of the creek ranges from 3 to 6 feet approximately. So that's the existing condition, unimproved channel. Okay, so back in 2012, the city undertook what is shown before you here. It's called the Calimesa Creek Master Plan. This was adopted in, again, July of 2012. And this was an overlay district that provided additional study area related to the design of the creek. So it was just the city saying, hey, this could be a nice facility, what do we want to do with it? And so as part of the public process, there were 3 alternatives that were talked about. The first of which is here. This was alternative 1 from the master plan. This is a seasonally dry stream. So that's essentially what it is today. We call that ephemeral. It's wet when water comes through and it's dry when there's not that much water. So that was the first alternative, to kind of leave it the way that it is. The second alternative that was contemplated was a recirculated stream. So it says here that this would provide a natural flowing stream throughout the year through the use of drop structures and pumps. And third alternative was a culvert channel. So you can see through that cross section that it puts the water under the ground and has it flow within a culvert. And Mike Thornton is here this evening. He can expand a little bit at the end of the presentation. But the selected design was kind of a combination between alternatives 1 and 3. So again, alternative 1 was a seasonally dry stream Alternative 3 was a culvert. And so in its existing conditions, it's seasonally dry and will continue to be, to provide flood protection for the Civic Center. So again, this facility that we're in right now, the project includes construction of an underground storm drain system. However, it will be in the street right-of-way, meaning County Line Road, rather than beneath the historic creek. The roadway alignment for the underground system will reduce project cost. Construction within the creek would require costly right-of-way and exceed the current project budget amounts. So while some of the alternatives might seem, I'll just call a little prettier, there are budgetary constraints related to doing some of those design alternatives. This is an important part. The city will endeavor to complete the trail system shown on the sections above as part of a future Calamasa Creek project. So as part of the master plan, it was like, well, are we going to recirculate the water and have a trail system that requires acquisition of easements and real property and construction? And at this point in time, the project is focused on providing flood protection. So it's really more of a flood protection than an aesthetics trail project at this point in time. Of course, this is still part of our part of the zoning that applies to the creek, and so it'll be a future project that we look at in the future. And in terms of general plan consistency, there are a number of general plan's goals, policies, and action items that this project would implement, including infrastructure and public service goals, storm drainage goals, water resources, resource management, safety, and sustainability. With that, the recommended action would be that the Planning Commission adopt Planning Commission Resolution 2023-08, finding the Calamasa Creek Stage 3 project consistent with the general plan. And also there's a footnote here on the recommended action. We're not considering an environmental document tonight, so there's no ISM&D, no EIR, nothing like that. This is simply a finding of general plan consistency. Does the project meet the intent and goals of the general plan? There is an initial study, mitigated neg deck, that will be considered by the City Council, as it is a capital improvement project. That will be considered at a future date. We're currently anticipating that it will appear on the August 21st City Council meeting, I believe. So keep an eye on the City Council packets if you're interested in seeing the environmental impacts of this project. Again, that will be considered by the City Council at a future date. So with that, I will allow our city engineer to add anything he may like to add related to the project. And maybe touch on coordination with flood control, cooperative project, etc.
So yes, as Kelly's mentioning, the project is a collaboration between the Flood Control District and the city. The city started the project out of need because when Calamasa Creek flows pretty full, we were getting flooding. I think the fire station was flooded. Perhaps some of you guys that have been around the city a long time were around when the fire station was flooded, being that it's right adjacent to the creek. We did get a US EPA grant to help us study this. That grant has been spent. We finished studying it. We are finalizing the design at the same time as we're completing the environmental review process. The lion's share of the funding is coming from Riverside County Flood Control, Water Conservation District. There will be some local funds contributed to the project as well. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. Kelly kind of did an excellent job of explaining everything, so I don't think I have anything further to add.
Thank you.
Mike, you have any questions?
Yes, I have a few. Okay, sorry to drill you down. I was on page 37 or 94, 139, talked about recommended next steps for the city, and number one was title search. My first thought was, for sure, we've already done a title search, right? That should have been something number one before we even spent any money doing anything, so we already know what properties are involved that we're going to have to look at, correct?
I'll let Mike respond to that one.
So the properties that we need, we do know who the owners are for properties that we need to acquire right of way. Part of what was analyzed there was different alternatives. We are trying to stay away from the natural channel, which has multiple owners between Park and Calamasa Boulevard. We are not going to acquire any right of way through that stretch. But where we pick it up from the end of the trapezoidal channel is property that's owned by the Flood Control District as well as a private party. Chris Stark. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He owns that property. And then the downstream end, just before we connect by Baker's, there's another private party that we will acquire some right-of-way from. In order to pursue the right-of-way for the conveyance portion, we need an environmental document completed first. Then we'll do a resolution of necessity and then make offers on acquiring the property. The big piece that's on the right-hand side of the exhibit that Kelly put back up, that is owned by the Simmons family. And they have been anxious to sell it. Our challenge is we need the red square that's shown up there, and they want to sell everything, the entire parcel. So they're a willing seller, but we are not a willing buyer. Again, the funds are coming from the flood control district. They're willing to pay for 4.5 acres of the 6 acres that are total there, while the seller wants to sell the whole 6 acres. So haven't worked all that out yet.
And then one of the other questions was the delineation or jurisdictional waters and habitats. So do we know, have we already checked with the EPA, because with all the overstepping and everything else that goes on, I was going to say that's already been taken care of, so we already know what jurisdictions and everything else. Right?
A study was done. We identified the jurisdictional delineation of the channel properties. It has been identified and defined. We will be required to get some regulatory permitting, post-environmental document approval, and pre-construction.
Thank you.
Eric, you got anything?
I do not. No questions.
John?
I really do not. Is there a timetable as far as approaching property owners? And
So the sooner we get the project under construction, the better. There isn't really any set timetable, but I will say this to you. We want to finish Calamasa Boulevard, kind of stops right at Park. They're doing some curb and gutter work, but we'd like to repave it all the way to Calamasa Boulevard. The storm drain needs to go in first before we repave the roadway. So that is the pressure that's on us now, is to, let's get that storm drain pipe in so we can go ahead and finish the road.
Very good.
yeah, we don't want to see a 100-year flood. I remember 1969, and we lost two lanes of Interstate 10 eastbound at the river because the pylons were dropped down.
And perhaps to address
69.
that, the storm drain that goes underneath, that starts at Baker's and goes underneath the freeway, it is undersized for 100-year events. I'm sure when it was designed, it was not undersized. We do calculations a little bit differently now than we did then. So it is undersized, which is the purpose of adding the basin upstream.
Yeah.
We want to attenuate the flow, let it back up there, reduce that peak runoff, and then the system that goes under the freeway will have adequate capacity to convey a 100-year storm when it comes. Not if it comes, but when it comes. With this project, there will be no flooding between the basin and the other side of the freeway. It's designed for a 100-year event.
Yep.
If we got something larger than 100-year, then there would be flooding, but the design storm for the project and all projects in the city and the county is the 100-year event.
Very good. Thank you.
Just the timetable, when is it, when are you guys gonna start, and then what road closures can we expect to see during that time?
So we would hope, I'll answer your second question first, we would hope to keep all the roads open in stage construction. The storm drain is primarily located on the north side of County Line Road, so we're hoping our contractor can work and keep 2 lanes open, 1 lane in each direction on the south side. So we're hoping we don't have to close it. The reason that there's been so many closures for the County Line Road project is the roundabouts are at the intersections, and we cannot move traffic through an intersection when the roundabouts were under construction. So that's why we've had the significant closures, but typically for pipelines, we try to minimize that. Your first question was the timetable. We, again, would like to go as fast as we possibly can, but the right-of-way acquisition can be a bit of a wild card. If they're unwilling sellers of easements or fee title to property, then eminent domain can take up to, I'll say, 9 months.
Do you do that incrementally? Like, do you do it in sections? Like, if you're waiting on one over here, but you have right away over here, you start the project over here and then kind of
So typically, we do not put the project out to bid until all the right-of-way necessary for the project has been secured. So if we have one holdout, we can't bid it until we resolve whatever that holdout is requesting. You're welcome.
That's it. I have nothing. I was glad to see this thing come forward. I was on that committee, so. Other than that, I guess we can make anything else from staff? No? Then, I'll make the, recommendation that, we adopt PC Resolution 2023-08, finding that the Calamasa Creek Stage 3 project is consistent with the Calamasa General Plan. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
You got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. There we go. We'll cross our fingers and hope everything goes well.
Yep.
Commissioners, reports and comments. Start with John. Got anything?
I just want to thank Mr. Thornton and Mr. Kelly over there, with staff, for all their help. Yeah, a lot of work went into this, I know. Very good.
Yeah, thank you guys for preparing this. This was beautiful, very nice, and it seems like a lot of planning, but once it all comes together in the future, it looks like it's gonna be really nice.
A lot of meetings before it got to that point. Good.
And Eric and I went to the ribbon cutting for the park, and it was kind of cool. It was so interesting and neat to see, because when I started on the Parks and Trails Commission, and that was one of Howard's biggest things was to have a baseball field, and it was really, really cool just to see the expression on his face, so, of actually his, vision for the past 25 years of what he's been working towards to come true, so it was a cool
You
event.
got snubbed, though, didn't you? You went?
What's that?
You got snubbed?
Snuff? Oh, here.
Anything else?
That's all.
Cool. Eric?
Just to echo what Christine said, the Parks event was wonderful. It was beautiful. There was plenty of people out there playing and enjoying it, and I hope that it continues to be a nice gathering area for the community there, because a lot of time, as you pointed out, went into that. So it was really cool to see that come to fruition and be there for that. But thanks staff for their hard work, and thank you for answering those questions. And that's all I have.
Okay. Mike?
As always, thank you, staff, for getting us so prepared. Appreciate it. And side note, is there any chance you can hook me up with the developer over at Summerlin? I'd like to get a little field trip over there for all that grading. Or give me contact information. Heck yeah, I'd just like to see it. I've been tempted just to drive over with the car and just follow one of the tractors, but I figured I'll get flagged. So if you could,
Absolutely.
I got vests and hard hats. You want to borrow?
I got the vest from the dump runs, but a hard hat would probably blend me well.
If the
so.
commission would like a site visit of the grading operations out at Oak Valley Town Center, I'm sure that's something we can accommodate.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks
Split
for
up, of
bringing
course.
it up, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to
Brown
see
Act
what
tonight.
everything's going on.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
always nice.
Sure.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Great. I got nothing other than to say thank you guys. Great job. We're glad to see things moving on. Sad that we got a meeting at the end of the month, but we'll see what we can do with that one. Other than that, we'll go to our planning director.
All
Your
right.
comments and reports.
Thank you, Commission, and to echo what you've said about the park, thank you to everybody, including members of the community and our Parks and Trails Commission, our City Council, our Planning Commission, everybody that made that project come to life. It's been a long time coming, and to have such a beautiful, state-of-the-art, brand-new facility in our city, I think it's something we should all really be proud of. So I hope everybody gets out there, checks it out, plays on the equipment, there's a merry-go-round, have fun, so that's great. A couple of notes. So we were wrapping up the comment period for the revised Oak Valley North Notice of Preparation. I would like to publicly let everybody know that that has been extended until September the 8th. So all members of the community, if you haven't gotten a letter in to me, it goes to me, Kelly Lucia, City of Calamasa Planning Director, of course. You can submit those until September the 8th. So that's one update. And then related to a couple of upcoming project update and hearing schedule related to the overlay zone. So the full name, the Residential Infill Priority Area Overlay Zone. It's been a project that we've workshopped a couple of times. We've talked about related to the housing element, done some various tours to show the properties, etc. we are finally at the place where we are ready to take that project to hearing. So start on August 28th, we'll be holding a special meeting for the overlay zone. That'll be planning to consider Planning Commission recommended action of the zone change, general plan amendment, and final EIR. And then just for the public's knowledge, the intention is to take that to public hearing for City Council on September the 18th. The approving body is the City Council. And that concludes my report.
Well, now I don't feel bad. Thank you very much, because I have to recuse myself anyways.
Yes, you did.
It doesn't need to go through council before, why are we having to do a special meeting instead of just doing the thing like that?
It does need to go to, I'm sorry?
If it goes in front of the council on the 18th, you
Mhm.
said, well, then we would still be able to have our regular scheduled meeting before.
So the way that the notifications work, we have to get the public hearing notices into the newspaper significantly in advance. And unfortunately, our attorneys won't let us double notify until the first meeting's already happened. So that's kind of the reason for that.
We don't get in the habit of special meetings all the time. Started getting more special meetings and normal meetings, so.
Okay. Noted. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. With that, we'll call for adjournment, and back here August 28th, 2023, 6 o'clock. Thank you.